In this video, I'm going to show you how I made my own custom Shadespire board using Neverending Wars Battletiles. Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. So if you follow me on social media, either a part of the Facebook group or you follow my Instagram or my Twitter feed, you'll see I've been sharing some pictures recently of a custom Shadespire board that I've been building. Now I've been building this with some MDF tiles from a company called Neverending Wars Battletiles. They've got a Kickstarter that launched today, which is the 1st of November. And if you're interested in checking them out, head down to the description below where you can see them. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you the board, explain how I made it, and give you a bit of a review of those tiles. So without further ado, let's have a look. So here it is. As you can see, the two boards are separate here, just as they come with the cardboard boards that come in the Shadespire box. And what I've done down the middle here is, these are effectively the hexes that are normally a half hex in these gaps on the edge of the board. Now during the game you can't set up any objectives on these hexes and you can't deploy any of your warband on here. So what I've done is, I've painted them a slightly different colour just so it's very obvious during the game. So the two boards fit together quite nicely there. And what I've done is I've made them using, as I mentioned before, the Neverending Wars MDF terrain tiles. These come as the hexagon MDF tile, and they also come as a separate kind of jigsaw piece hexagon as well, and the two bits just sort of glued together using PVA glue. They're a really good quality tile. There's no awkward cuts on them or anything. These fit together very nicely in these kind of jigsaw patterns and lock together quite nicely, as you can see here. And also they don't come on a big frame that you have to punch out and then file away the little kind of ragged edges. They really are very, very good quality. So I've used these to make this board because I think obviously it's a hex based game, but it also gives us the opportunity to come up with some custom boards as well. So as you know, during the game you can offset the boards as well. They don't have to be exactly like that. So what we can do is, for instance, we can unclip these middle ones. I'll just put these to one side, and then I'll just tilt this sideways so we can get it on camera. You can then offset the boards, get it in the right place there. You can then offset the boards so that you're not playing on it exactly side by side. Again, you can, I think if I remember right, you can have a minimum of 3 of these. So if you wanted to have the 3, again, we just unclip an extra one, move it to the right position, and there we have the 3. What we can also do as well is, remember, you can have the boards end to end. So if we move them around end to end, we take 2 of these tiles, and what we can do is we can clip that one into place. That one just drops in, and then you can play the boards end to end as well. So what I've done with these is I've taken the original MDF tile. What I did was I primed them just to give a good key for glue and everything else to soak into, because MDF is obviously very porous and it will soak up your paints and your glues. Once I'd primed it, I then used PVA glue and used some sand just to give it some texture. I'll just clip off one of these tiles and see if I can show it a little bit closer to the camera. So you can just see the texture there on the tile. It just gives it a bit more of a 3D feel. Then what I did was I then primed the entire board. I used actually a GW Fang spray primer. It turned out to be much more blue actually than I originally wanted it to be. But then what I did was I got a couple of tester pot paints from a local hardware store, a dark grey and a lighter grey, and I just dry brushed the entire board a couple of times just to give it a little bit more of a 3D feel. So these rocks here, if you like, these are where the warbands start. On the original Shadespire board, they have a very small Shadespire logo where the warbands start. But what I thought I'd do is, just to give it a bit more of a 3D feel, is to put some rocks here. So what I've used here is I've used 10mm cork. This is actually sort of cork pan mats that you get from IKEA. I think in the UK you get a pack of 3 for about £3.50, so they're excellent value. You get more than enough to do everything that you'll want to do for quite some time. So what I've done was I super glued these down before I put the sand on, and again I've just dry brushed them up just to give it a kind of a very cold, almost wintry theme to it. what's also really useful is because of these tiles, obviously in Shadespire, you can spin the boards around, you can flip them over, you get some areas which are impassable, and there are more boards coming out in the future. So what we can do with these tiles is we can interchange two tiles, so we can change the starting points of the warbands, and that's what makes this very customizable. So what I'll do is I'll just put some of the sort of miniatures and stuff onto the board so you can see how it looks from a scale perspective. So here you can see where the starting points for the warbands are on these cork rocks. Also you can see the objective cards here as well do tend to stand out a little bit better than they do on the original Shadespire boards, because I think actually with the Shadespire boards and these tokens are very similar in colour and they don't always stand out very well. This one maybe does with the red, but in general they're very grey. Now these hex tiles are very slightly larger than the original ones on the board, which I actually think is a benefit because it gives you that little bit more space just to put your tokens around. So once your models, for example, start to come quite close together, on the board there's sometimes not quite the space for the tokens and it can get confusing which tokens are for which model. So I think just having a little bit more space is actually a benefit in this case. Now one of the reasons why I did this was I mentioned in my Shadespire video, which you can see just at the top of the screen here, that I didn't think Shadespire was a very visual game. It was a very flat game with the boards, and then the models were almost just tokens to be used. I think by making something custom for yourself, it just gives that miniature gamer very sort of 3D thematic feel. And hopefully you'll agree with that as well. So as far as the tiles go, I'm very, very happy with the tiles. They slot together excellently. I mean, what I'll do is you can see here, they do just clip away very, very cleanly, and they slot back together dead easily. There's no awkward kind of awkward fits with them. The quality of them is excellent, as I mentioned before. There's no sort of bad edges or anything to them, and I would definitely recommend them. So there you have it, folks. That's how I built my custom Shadespire board. The Neverending Wars terrain tiles are now on Kickstarter. I'll put a link down in the description so you can go across and have a look at them. From a review point of view, they really are excellent quality. They're designed to be a hex-based campaign tile. So what you can do is you can map out how your campaign for whatever game system you play, how it pans out. However, what became apparent during the build-up to the Kickstarter launching was that it could be used for many different things, one of which obviously is to build your own Shadespire board. You could, of course, use them for something like a Dungeons & Dragons campaign too. So I'm sure you guys will be able to come up with much more reasons than just the few I've mentioned there. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.